picture this. You're at the airport.
Yeah.
Right, you've just made it through a completely chaotic security line.
Oh, yeah, the worst part of the trip.
Exactly. You're clutching your shoes in one hand, your carry-on in the other, and you are staring down a 3-hour layover.
Just brutal.
You find your gate, and literally your only option is one of those incredibly hard, ergonomically hostile terminal chairs.
Yeah.
You're sitting there listening to some muffled announcement you can't quite make out.
Surrounded by all that neon-lit chaos of the main concourse.
Right. And then, out of the corner of your eye, you see them. These seemingly lucky travelers strolling up to a set of frosted glass doors.
The VIPs.
Right. They scan a card, the doors slide open, and they just disappear into this exclusive, quiet sanctuary. Meanwhile, you are left out in the wild.
It is a universally recognized travel experience. I mean, that stark division between the general waiting area and whatever hidden luxury lies behind those opaque doors.
It really feels like a secret club.
It does. For decades, that space has felt like a club the average traveler just didn't get the invitation to.
It totally feels completely out of reach. Like you assume you have to be flying first class to Dubai or dropping $10,000 on a ticket to get behind that glass.
Yeah, that's the common assumption.
But the truth in our sources today tells a completely different story. A massive chunk of those people disappearing into that quiet sanctuary aren't flying first class at all.
Not even close.
Right, they might literally be sitting in row 38 right next to you on some budget airline. What they have is a membership to something called the Priority Pass Network.
Which is a total game changer.
It really is. And welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission today is to completely demystify this system for you. We're going to break down exactly what this network is, how much it actually costs, and the honestly surprising perks you can get inside.
Perks that go way beyond just a comfortable chair, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And crucially, we'll cover the hidden catch you absolutely need to know before you head to the airport for your next flight. Okay, let's unpack this. What exactly is Priority Pass, and how big of a footprint are we actually talking about here?
Well, to understand the mechanism of Priority Pass, we really have to look at how travel used to work.
Right, the old model.
Exactly. Historically, lounge access was heavily restricted by brand loyalty. It was an operational reward system.
So, like, you had to fly one airline constantly.
Right. If you wanted to sit in the Delta Sky Club, you had to be a fiercely loyal Delta flyer with status. Or, you had to hold a premium cabin ticket for that specific airline on that specific day.
Which is pretty limiting for the average person.
Extremely limiting. Priority Pass breaks that entire model because it is an independent airport lounge network.
Independent meaning they don't care who you fly with.
Exactly. It is not tied to any single airline. It fundamentally does not care what class of ticket you hold.
So it's essentially a universal skeleton key for airports.
That is a great way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't care if you're flying some ultra-low-cost carrier or if you bought a basic economy ticket during a midnight flash sale. It just gets you into the VIP room.
That universal access completely shifts the logic of travel. And the sheer scale of the network is what makes it such a disruptive tool.
Because it's not just a few airports.
Right. Far from it. We are looking at a global footprint that provides access to somewhere between 1,500 and 1,800 lounges and airport experiences globally.
Wow. Over 1,500.
Yeah, covering more than 600 cities worldwide. Priority Pass essentially decoupled the luxury airport experience from the airline ticket itself.
Which allows anyone to basically buy their way out of the terminal chaos.
Precisely.
Okay, so knowing that this universal skeleton key exists and that it works in over 600 cities leads to the absolute most obvious question for anyone listening.
How much does it cost?
Exactly. How do you actually acquire this key without going completely bankrupt? Because luxury at the airport usually comes with a comma in the price tag.
Huh.
I assume buying this kind of global access directly is prohibitively expensive.
Well, the direct retail path is actually structured in tiers, and the entry point is lower than most people think.
Oh.
Yeah. You can go directly to the Priority Pass website and buy a standard membership for $99 a year.
Wait, $99? That sounds surprisingly reasonable for a year of sanctuary access.
It seems reasonable until you evaluate the ongoing mechanics of that specific tier.
There's a catch.
Always. With the standard plan, that $99 is merely an entry fee. You still have to pay $35 out of pocket for every single visit.
Okay, ouch.
And if you want to bring a companion, that is another $35 for your guest.
Oh, wow. That completely changes the value proposition.
It really does.
So it's essentially a $99 coupon book that just gives you the privilege of paying $35 for a snack and a quiet chair.
That's one way to look at it, yeah.
That is much less appealing.
Which pushes consumers toward the second tier, the Standard Plus. This one runs $329 a year.
Okay, bit of a jump. What do you get for that?
The structure here is that your first 10 visits as a member are completely free.
Okay, that's better.
But once you hit visit number 11, you start paying that $35 fee per visit again.
Gotcha. And what about guests on that tier?
The catch for couples or families remains. Guests are always $35 each, right from visit number 1.
Man, put yourself in the shoes of the listener for a second. Imagine you buy this $329 pass, you're traveling with your partner, and the desk agent suddenly asks for another $35 just so they can sit next to you in the lounge.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, that friction adds up instantly.
The network's answer to that friction is their top retail tier, the Prestige plan.
And how much is that one going to set me back?
This costs $469 a year.
Wow.
Yeah, but it grants the primary member unlimited free visits.
Okay, unlimited is nice, but let me guess, the guests still pay.
You guessed it. Even at nearly $500 a year, the system still penalizes you for traveling with a companion by charging that $35 guest fee every single time.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. If the Prestige plan costs $469 and it still bleeds you dry with guest fees, the math just doesn't make sense for a frequent traveler with a family.
It really doesn't.
Because the second path to entry, the one that actually dominates the travel world according to the sources, is the credit card backdoor.
Yes, the backdoor is everything.
Based on the sources we're looking at, premium travel cards like the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Capital One Venture X, and the Platinum Card from American Express offer this membership as a complimentary perk.
And they don't give you the bottom tier either.
Right. They offer complimentary, unlimited visits for the cardholder, and they typically include up to 2 free guests. So Priority Pass is basically the Costco of luxury travel, right?
The Costco of luxury travel. I like that.
Yeah, they sell access in massive wholesale bulk to Chase and Amex at a steep discount. And those banks just hand it out as a shiny toy to keep us paying our annual credit card fees.
What's fascinating here is that the Costco analogy is the perfect way to understand the underlying economics.
Right.
For the vast majority of premium credit card holders, buying Priority Pass directly makes absolutely zero financial sense.
Zero.
Credit card companies recognize that lounge access is a highly emotional, highly visible perk. They use this membership, which is specifically called Priority Pass Select when it comes through a bank, as a high-value loss leader.
A loss leader, meaning the bank is knowingly bleeding cash to pay for your lounge visits just to trap you in their financial ecosystem.
It is a calculated gamble on their part. When a bank asks a consumer to pay an annual fee of $400, $500, or even nearly $700, they have to deliver something with massive, immediate psychological value.
To justify that huge upfront cost.
Exactly. By negotiating wholesale bulk rate pricing with Priority Pass, the banks can offer you unlimited access plus 2 guests.
So to the consumer, it feels like they are getting a $500 luxury membership thrown in for free.
Right. The banks are betting that the prestige of the frosted glass doors will keep you loyal to their specific piece of plastic year after year.
It is an incredibly compelling psychological hook. But what if a listener doesn't want to pay a massive annual fee for a premium credit card? Let's say they only take 1 or 2 trips a year to see family.
The financial industry has recognized that gap too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the sources highlight that more affordable mid-tier cards are entering this space to offer a limited taste of the network.
Give me an example.
Cards like the U.S. Bank Altitude Connect, for instance, might offer a set number of free lounge visits per year, typically around 4.
Okay, 4 visits is perfect for an occasional trip.
Exactly. This model is engineered for the occasional traveler who just wants to escape the terminal during the stressful summer vacation or holiday rush without committing to the heavy-hitting premium cards.
Makes total sense. So assuming the listener takes that credit card back door and gets their Priority Pass Select membership, they walk up to the frosted glass doors, tap their card, and walk in.
The moment of truth.
Right. What is actually waiting for them inside? Because for people who have never been in a lounge, the imagination just runs wild. Is it just a quiet room, or is it something more?
Well, the baseline amenities across the network are specifically designed to solve the immediate physical frustrations of the main terminal.
Like the noise.
Yes. You are securing a quiet space insulated from the constant barrage of gate announcements.
Thank goodness for that.
You are accessing dedicated high-speed Wi-Fi that isn't being bogged down by 10,000 other passengers trying to stream movies.
A huge plus.
You get abundant power outlets which function practically as currency in an airport.
So true. People fight over those.
And of course, there are complimentary snacks and beverages, which frequently include alcohol.
Honestly, guaranteeing a working power outlet and a decent Wi-Fi connection might be worth it alone.
But digging into the sources, there is a whole other level to this network.
There is.
Some of these locations go way beyond just a buffet and a comfortable leather chair. As the network expanded, they realized they had to elevate the offerings to remain competitive. We are talking about access to actual showers in select locations.
Which is a completely transformative amenity if you are in the middle of a grueling long-haul international connection.
Absolutely. Feeling clean after a 10-hour flight changes everything. Even more surprisingly, some locations offer dedicated sleeping pods.
Wait, you can actually take a flat, quiet nap during a layover?
Through services like Minute Suites, which operate within the Priority Pass network, yes.
That is wild.
A traveler gets a private, climate-controlled mini room featuring a D-bed, a desk, and a television.
And that's included.
Typically, the pass grants 1 hour of free time in one of these suites. But this highlights an even broader shift in the program. It extends deeply into what the network categorizes as non-lounge experiences.
This is the part of the research that completely shifted my perspective. I assumed Priority Pass strictly meant, a lounge.
Most people do.
But you can use this membership card at businesses that don't look like lounges at all.
Now, Priority Pass recognized a fundamental truth about travelers. Not everyone wants to sit in a quiet room and drink a complimentary glass of wine.
Right, people get bored.
Exactly. People have different needs during long layovers. So they started partnering with alternative businesses, like gaming lounges.
Gaming lounges, like video games.
Yeah, Gameway at LAX is a perfect example. A member can swipe their card and receive an hour or two of time on a high-end gaming PC or console, complete with a snack and a drink.
That is so cool. The sources also call out Be Relax Spas.
Ooh.
So let me map out this scenario. I could theoretically be at Los Angeles International, swipe my Priority Pass to get a complimentary massage at the spa.
Yep.
Head over to Gameway to play video games for an hour.
Also, yes.
And then, looking at the LAX specifics here, the pass also grants access to the Virgin Atlantic Clubhouse in the Tom Bradley International Terminal. So I can just go hang out in an exclusive Virgin Atlantic space without actually flying Virgin.
Provided you present your Priority Pass and a same-day boarding pass, you can.
That feels like a glitch in the Matrix.
It really does. The Virgin Atlantic Clubhouse is widely considered a highly premium environment, so having access via an independent card is a massive benefit.
Incredible.
But if we look at the underlying mechanics of what Priority Pass is doing here, it is a brilliant business evolution.
How so?
They are effectively monetizing airport dead time. By expanding beyond traditional lounges into spas, sleeping suites, and gaming centers, they appeal to entirely different traveler demographics.
Covering all the bases.
Exactly. They capture the solo traveler seeking entertainment, the exhausted parent needing a massage, and the business executive requiring a shower.
It essentially turns the airport from an obstacle course you have to endure into an environment where your vacation actually begins.
Exactly right.
But, if Priority Pass is reimbursing all these spas, gaming centers, and premium lounges, every time a member swipes their card, someone is footing a massive bill.
A very massive bill.
And that brings us to the most infamous perk mentioned in the sources. The restaurant credits. Select airport restaurants will essentially just take money off your bill if you present the card.
This was historically one of the most beloved features of the entire ecosystem.
I bet. Free food.
In airports where a physical lounge wasn't available, or if a member simply preferred a sit-down hot meal, they could present their Priority Pass at a participating restaurant.
And they just discount it.
The restaurant would apply a credit, typically $28 per person, directly to the final bill.
$28.
Yeah. And if the member's pass included guest privileges, they could double that to $56 off their lunch.
Okay, free massages, high-end gaming, $28 off a burger, unlimited visits for you and your friends. It sounds like an absolute travel utopia.
It sounds perfect on paper.
Right, but logic dictates that if the credit card backdoor has made this skeleton key accessible to millions of consumers, the financial strain on the system must be immense. The utopia has to have a catch.
This raises an important question, and you're spot on. That financial strain is exactly what introduced the massive friction points we see in the network today.
So the bubble burst.
In a way, yes. When you distribute a highly desirable perk like candy through mass-market premium credit cards, the system eventually buckles under the weight of its own success.
Makes sense.
The mechanics of the program had to change to protect the bottom line.
Let's trace that friction, starting with the very first administrative hurdle. A listener gets their shiny new premium credit card in the mail. They pack their bags, they head to the airport, they hand the lounge desk their credit card, and they are immediately turned away.
It happens all the time.
I assume this is an intentional barrier to entry.
It is entirely intentional. The sources emphasize this heavily. You cannot simply walk up to a lounge and present your credit card.
So what do you have to do?
Members must proactively enroll and activate the Priority Pass, select benefit via their bank's website or app beforehand.
Oh, so you have to opt in.
Exactly. The bank then issues a separate, dedicated Priority Pass membership, either digitally or physically. Showing up with just a Chase or Amex card will result in denied entry.
So banks rely on breakage. They give you the perk, but they make you jump through an administrative hoop, hoping you forget to activate it so they don't have to pay for your lounge visits.
That is the exact strategy.
That is a vital hurdle for the listener to know. You need the activated Priority Pass card, AND, a same-day boarding pass. You can't just clear security for a free lunch on a random Tuesday.
Good luck trying.
But speaking of the financial strain, once the banks realized how much cash they were bleeding from people using the pass at airport restaurants, they took drastic measures, didn't they?
They absolutely did. The financial weight of that specific restaurant perk became completely unsustainable for the major card issuers.
I can imagine. $56 for 2 people adds up fast.
The data shows that American Express, Chase, and Capital One have all recently stripped the restaurant credit benefit from their Priority Pass Select memberships entirely.
Wow. So the big 3 issuers just wiped the $28 meal credit off the board completely.
Gone. If a traveler bought their membership directly from the Priority Pass retail tiers, or if they hold a card from a few specific smaller banks, they might still retain it.
For most people.
For the vast majority of premium cardholders navigating the airport today, swiping a pass for $28 off a meal is a relic of the past.
That is a huge bummer.
It serves as a stark reminder that consumers must constantly audit the specific, updated terms of their credit card agreements.
Yeah, you really have to read the fine print.
Yeah.
And that massive devaluation leads directly to the biggest friction point of all, which is a product of basic spatial physics.
About the capacity issues.
Right. Because millions of people have this card, the physical lounges are buckling, you do everything right, you activate the membership, you bring your boarding pass, you walk up to the doors, and you are greeted by a handwritten sign that says, currently not accepting Priority Pass.
It is a classic failure of supply and demand. The physical footprint of an airport is finite. You cannot simply build an extension onto a terminal overnight.
Right, there's only so much square footage.
During peak travel windows, holidays, Friday afternoons, or major weather delays, lounges hit strict fire code capacity.
And who gets priority?
When that happens, the lounges prioritize the airline's own premium ticket holders first. Priority Pass members are pushed to the bottom of the hierarchy and turned away.
That hurts.
Access is always heavily caveated with the phrase, subject to space availability.
So it's kind of like having a premium gym membership. You pay your expensive dues, you show up in your workout gear ready to go, but you have to stand outside in the cold because every single treadmill is currently occupied.
That is a great analogy.
You possess the right to be there, but physics dictates that 2 objects cannot occupy the same space.
The gym analogy perfectly illustrates the frustration. The network grew exponentially faster than the physical infrastructure of the airports could accommodate.
Makes total sense.
This capacity crisis is actually the underlying reason the network started heavily integrating those non-lounge experiences like the spas and the gaming centers in the first place.
Oh, to absorb the overflow.
Exactly. They desperately needed alternative venues to absorb the overflow of members who couldn't physically fit into the traditional lounges.
That makes perfect sense. It wasn't just about offering innovative new experiences to travelers. It was a desperate crowd control measure.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
So true. So, knowing that capacity limits are a very real threat to a relaxing layover, there is a critical tactical takeaway here for you, the listener. You have to navigate the system proactively.
Proactivity is key.
The sources strongly emphasize downloading the Priority Pass app. You shouldn't just wander the terminal blindly hoping to stumble upon a lounge with open seats.
Definitely not.
Use the app to pinpoint the exact locations, verify their specific operating hours, and critically check if pre-booking is available. Because for a small supplemental fee, some lounges will allow you to guarantee your spot ahead of time.
That proactive methodology is really the only way to consistently extract value from the program today.
And the app helps with the breakage issue too, right?
Yes, the app also conveniently houses the digital membership card, mitigating the risk of forgetting the physical plastic at home. The overarching reality is that Priority Pass is no longer a passive luxury where the red carpet rolls out automatically.
It takes work.
It is a complex system that requires strategic navigation.
Okay, so what does this all mean? If we synthesize all these moving parts for you as you prepare for your next trip, Priority Pass remains an incredibly powerful tool in your travel arsenal.
Highly powerful.
It genuinely possesses the capability to take a grueling, exhausting layover and transform it into an elevated experience. You could be securing a pre-flight massage, taking a nap at a private pod, or just enjoying a quiet drink far away from the terminal chaos.
Which is what we all want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But to actually unlock that utopia, you must be a proactive consumer. You have to remember to activate the benefit through your bank to avoid the breakage trap.
Read the fine print.
Yes. Read the fine print to understand exactly what perks your specific card still offers, and you always need a backup plan, like the app, in case the primary lounge is at capacity.
The landscape of airport luxury has fundamentally shifted.
It really has.
It is a brilliant democratization of comforts that were once heavily gatekept by airline loyalty. But that very democratization means managing crowds and navigating constantly evolving terms and conditions.
It really is a double-edged sword. Which leaves us with a lingering thought to carry with you the next time you are dragging your suitcase through a crowded concourse.
What's that?
Well, if premium credit cards continue to issue these lounge memberships in mass quantities, and these supposedly exclusive spaces become just as crowded, loud, and stressful as the main terminal itself, will true luxury in the future mean skipping the airport lounge entirely? Are we heading toward a reality where the ultimate flex isn't getting behind those frosted glass doors, but simply paying for a perfectly isolated private microsuite where you don't have to see or hear another traveler at all? Something to think about the next time you find yourself eyeing a hard plastic terminal chair.